All right. Good evening, everyone. It is 6:16. We apologize for the late start. Thank you for bearing with us. And I'd like to call the September 25th, 2023 regular meeting of the Board of Education, Cape Girardeau School District number 63 to order. Let the record show that all board members are present. And let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, you have before you an agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion seconded and carried. So first up on the agenda is recognitions. We have terrific Tigers. Ready?
Do we take these over there? How do they? This is my first one.
You can still reach it.
You still reading for us, Casey?
I certainly can. So, Alma Schroeder Elementary, Dwayne Harris III, fourth grade, son of Sangley Johnson and Dwayne Harris Jr. Dwayne is a thoughtful and generous young man who tries hard all the time, puts others before himself, is helpful, and does the right thing even when no one is looking. He's always respectful to the teacher and other students. Dwayne has fantastic manners and is not afraid to use them. His heart is definitely full of love and respect for all those around him. Picture time, picture time. Picture.
Yeah, we'll get it right sure.
Blanchard Elementary, Camber Weaver, fourth grade, son of Chelsea and Joey Weaver. Camber is a role model in the classroom and sets high standards for his peers. He's attentive in class, follows instructions immediately, takes pride in his work, is persistent on all tasks, and strives to do his best. Both inside and outside the classroom, Camber's a true friend and kind-hearted to all those he encounters. Clippard Elementary, Kyle Dunn, fourth grade, daughter of Portia Bondurant. Kyle is a respectful and responsible student. She shows up ready to learn and participates in class. She's kind to her classmates and willing to help out when needed. We're lucky to have her at Clippard Elementary. Way to go, Kyle. And parents, you can stand up when your child comes up too, if you'd like. Jefferson Elementary, Marley Reeves, fourth grade, daughter of Leah and Gianna Terry. Marley is an absolute joy to be around. She is kind and welcoming to all around her. Each day she comes to school ready to learn and gives 100% effort. We're proud to call Marley a Jefferson student. Congratulations, Marley. Franklin Elementary, Keith Dawson, first grade, son of Morgan and Keith Dawson. Keith sets a great example for his classmates. He's always on task and participating in everything. Keith is a good friend to everyone. He's incredibly helpful to his peers and his teachers. He always has a positive attitude and tries his very best. Keith is a role model for everyone around him. Central Middle School, Cadence Pullett, sixth grade, daughter of Kendra Pullett. Cadence is a top-notch student. She's dedicated to her studies and goes the extra mile to make sure she succeeds. In addition to her academics, Cadence strives to help not only her peers, but also her teachers. She willingly goes above and beyond what's expected in order to help those around her. Cadence is a great example of what we at CMS desire in our students and is definitely deserving of the title Terrific Tiger. Terry W. Kitchen Junior High, Merrill McDougal, seventh grade, daughter of Julianne and Scott McDougal. Meryl is a joy to have in class. She has a positive attitude and a fantastic work ethic. Meryl is also willing to go above and beyond to help others around her. She's a wonderful example of Terry W. Kitchen Junior High School terrific tiger. Keep up the great work, Meryl. Central High School, Anshula Ventuda, 12th grade daughter of Swapna Kosigi and Gangaraju Vetudu. And Shula is a model student that her peers respect and admire. She has always been a kind, humble, and patient student leader. She's a very bright student and positive force on campus. As president of FBLA, she stays on top of communication and is always ready to work with everyone. She works to help all students feel welcome in the organization, and she's an absolute joy to have in class. Central Academy, Deonta Dupree, 12th grade son of Christina Lewis. Deonta always has a great attitude, and his personality just makes you want to be around him. He's doing extremely well in all his classes and excellent in football this year. Central Academy couldn't be more proud of how hard he has worked to get here. Keep up the great work, Deonta.
All right, that's everybody.
You'll be in the back. Pretty good spot. In the back right here. I know he's big.
Let's go, BD.
Here we go. Okay, if I can see everybody's face, big smile, great job.
Thank you all. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good job, everybody.
This is the whole reason I come here, actually.
That was my first.
I know the high schoolers are. You need to get this straight. Oh, he's got my heart.
And they're just so.
Other teams need some wins.
Good tell.
Got really quiet in here. All right, next is information proposals or comments from the audience. Brian, did we have anyone?
No one's checked in with me, but
Okay.
I have something I'd like to share.
Is it?
You have to be on the board agenda to do that.
Is it open?
You have to go through the central office to get on the agenda.
I've tried. I just want to be heard.
We can do that at another time. You can go through our central office.
I've sent the board members the email, so.
Okay.
Are you available?
All right, next we have informational reports. And first is the board president's report. That's me. We have been working on our community engagement plan over the past several months. And one of the things that came out of that is we wanted to offer forum, town hall kind of things where people got together regularly and we could share about different things about what's going on in the school. So we have established a few of those. Our first one is going to be October 5th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Career and Technology Center. And the topic or the focus for discussion will be portrait of a graduate and secondary and post-secondary opportunities. Kind of the format for these community engagement sessions will be the first half hour between 6 and 6:30 we'll have snacks, and we'll provide tours of the building, and there will be a little meet and greet. And then we will do a presentation on the discussion topics, and then we'll also take questions during that. So mark that in your calendars. The first one is October 5th at the Career and Technology Center. I'll go ahead and tell you the other ones too. The second one is January 18th at Jefferson Elementary. And that will focus on specifically community engagement. And then April 4th at the junior high, which will focus on academic achievement. And we'll follow that same structure for all of them, 6 to 8 p.m., first half hour, snacks, tours, meet and greet, and then the 6:30 to 8, we'll have presentations and discussion, Q&A. So that's all I have for my report. And next is a superintendent's report.
Now, my report, hang on just a second. Technology is not my friend today. Thank you all for coming. So I'm just going to mention a few things that really some great achievements that we have happening in our school district. It's just a great thing when you kick off the school year with students being recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Program. Jackie Zhang and Andrew Wildy are semifinalists, which means that out of 1.3 million students, they are selected out of 16,000. So they've narrowed it down to 16,000 students, and they are one of those 16,000 out of 1.3 million, which is pretty impressive. We just found out that Anshula Vantedu, thank you, and Lydia Chow are commended students as well. Having 4 students honored by the National Merit Program is absolutely incredible. I don't know if it's ever happened in our school district. We are working on inviting these students to future board meetings so we can celebrate them here, but I didn't want to wait to mention some of the great things that's going on at the high school. This week is homecoming week. Our schools are celebrating this week with lots of fun dress-up themes. Today was the ever-popular anything but backpacks. So I'm sure they were bringing quite the things to carry their books and everything to school. That's always a lot of fun. FBLA will be collecting gently used shoes during October and November, and all of the shoes collected will go to underdeveloped countries for individuals to set up used shoe stores to teach business ownership. There will be boxes where you can donate at the high school. We encourage you to do that if you have some old gently used shoes. Gently used shoes. Lastly, I wanted to thank our friends at ABC Today Network for organizing such a wonderful volunteer and partner appreciation event last week. I was unable to attend because of our Missouri School Board Association meeting that we had. We had our regional meeting here at the Career Tech Center, but Mr. Beck went, and a number of our district employees attended and said it was a great chance to make connections with people from our community who are volunteering their time and donations through ABC Today, and they are a great partnership for our school district. And that's all I have for my report.
Okay, next up we have the CSIP program evaluation. And I think that is Jamie.
All right, so this month it is, we've got one program evaluation, and that is summer school. And so, sorry about this, I'm working off of 2 screens because I did not bring my glasses. All right, so this year, you guys can see the numbers between this year and last year. We're down just a little bit, but you can see that the numbers shifted around a little bit. We're up in K4 and at the middle school, and down a little bit at the junior high, a little bit at the high school and Central Academy. You guys can see the total cost of the program as well. And you can see there's a little bit of a shift there, a little bit more, even though there's a little bit fewer students. And that's due to us, let me move down on the screen as well. Due to us utilizing the Rising Educator grant for our students. That'd be our
Teaching assistants to the various levels.
right, and so that'll be high school students who are coming in and working in the summer with summer school, and so we added that as well. And then below that, you can see kind of the reported improvements in the students who did come, and so that's pre-test, post-test data. You can see that 100.5 credits were earned at the high school and 20.5 credits at Central Academy.
I have a question.
Mhm.
When it says 92% improvement in reading, is that 92% of students saw an improvement in reading, or there was an overall 92% improvement?
92% of the students saw improvement. Yes.
Thank you.
And then there just below, again, just the strengths and some of the weaknesses of the program. You know, we saw some down numbers at secondary a little bit this year. Was the big part. One of the cool things this year is that K4, I'm not sure if middle school went or not, they had a themed summer school, and so that brought in a lot more students. They were really pumped.
Under the Sea.
Under the Sea with the...
Under the Sea was the theme for it, and at the end, the culminating activity, they went to go see Little Mermaid at the movie theater, so it was really exciting for them.
And so, you know, again, summer school, we always want more numbers there in summer school, give more opportunities for credit recovery and for some enrichment at the upper levels.
So when you say in there, ensuring attendance for all students that need to attend, that bullet there, when we look at that, like how are we doing on that metric in terms of where we want everybody who we think could benefit from this to come to it, but where are we at kind of, do we have any sort of sense of that?
Yeah, well, it just depends. So we got to look at kind of failures at the end of the year, and of that, how many showed up, and that's always we want more. But as far as like as percentage wise, I'm not sure where we shook out in that. But we can find those numbers out and figure out specifically what numbers were.
Well, that didn't work out very well.
I have a question also. Maybe this would, I assume most of the kids who go from Central High School or Central Academy for are needing to recover credits, most of them are not because they don't want to take PE in the regular school year, but some of them are, right? Mm-hmm. Do we have an idea of how many credits were attempted versus how many were earned?
I think at the high school, I mean, we can kind of take a look at those numbers. You can see total how many students attended, and then kind of figure out some of those credits are based off of, well, you're just going to half credit for every course that they take.
Right.
So some of those students may have only come in for half of the day for that, and so, like again, we can go in and dig in to see who attended when and make that part of the metrics. But that's something that we've gathered for this report.
So just to clarify a little bit on the data, using our summer school evaluation form straight from the building this year, originally there were 430 students that were registered to attend summer school. 288 of those students actually attended summer school.
And this is the high school?
This is the high school. Mm-hmm. And then the number of credits earned totaled out to be 100.5. And that's various reasons, obviously. 288 kids, they're not all attending full-time schedules, so it's part-day programming. But to highlight that statement you were talking about, all that need to attend, that would be for retention purposes, obviously, is how they're categorizing that.
And some of that too, some students only show up for, make up some attendance too, just a couple days here and there.
Oh, they can do that? Okay, cool.
For credit recovery.
Yes. It'd be interesting to see, you mentioned kind of at the elementary school level, there was kind of it wasn't necessarily I don't want to say punishment, but you're not trying to make credit recovery for doing this. There's kids that are like, hey, I want to come to school and learn more, and some combination maybe of child care needs or different things that are happening there. It'd be interesting as we start looking at kind of our test scores to see the impact that potentially opting into this thing has, and kind of use that as a tool where parents can kind of say, hey, if we've got teachers who are interested in teaching and we've got kids who want to learn at least at some point during the summer, it's a pretty good marriage, my guess is, in terms of retention of information moving from one year to the next.
It is, and one of the reasons why we decided to do the themes was because we wanted to increase our attendance.
Sure.
So we have to kind of walk a really fine line between all academics and actually having some themes and having a little fun as well, so that we can get more kids involved in summer school. So we're hoping that we're going to continue to do that. We talked about that actually today in our cabinet on planning for summer school next year. We want to go ahead and start planning now so that we can really get a buzz out there so that students will be wanting to come to summer school, we're hoping.
Well, from my experience as a parent, you guys did a really good job of that last year. Almost as good as Cub Club does. I'm now paying $130 a month just because my kid, the hype about Cub Club. But my kid really wanted to go to summer school. Like she was, because you guys are really doing a good job with the hype there. She wanted to.
We have some great principals, and we'd like to keep it the same format at each building. I guess in the past, I wasn't here during that time, but I've heard that they've had it all at one building, and I think you have more students attend when it's at their building as well. More
Any other questions?
What's the maximum number of credits that a student could earn through the summer?
One, right?
So 1 full credit can be earned full-time at summer school. That would be AM and PM combined, half credit for each session.
That's how many weeks?
16 days. It's all based on minutes through DESI now.
That's
16
intense.
days?
It's intense.
The PE is particularly intense. Half a day of PE.
Very sweaty, very sweaty.
Right.
All right, any other questions or comments? Thank you. Next report is academic services report. The first item is the power of the ICU program.
Yeah, I'm going to take over. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking. I'm just going to do some introductions. Over the past year, various board members have had questions. As I reported on the implementation of the ICU program at the junior high, I've invited Principal Cook, his assistant principal, Ms. Haley Russell, and Mike Connor, his other assistant principal, to actually give us a presentation on that program tonight and report on what the implementation process looked like and in terms of data that's supporting their efforts now in the building. So, Mr. Cook, I'd like to invite you and your team up. Let's take over.
Thank you. And you can see this on the other side, right?
Correct.
Okay. Feel that. Not what I pictured, but that's okay. So thank you all for having us and for asking questions, because we're really excited about the opportunity to present to you and the support that we get from our district office and our school board. We just want to say thank you, because allowing us to make autonomous decisions and lead in the way that we feel is best for our students is what I've felt in the 4 years that I've been a principal here, and it's a privilege, so we appreciate it. We already introduced us. Their roles are assistant principals, and I'm the principal of the building. For anyone that would be a guest or wouldn't know where we're at the junior high across the street over here. We'll jump right in. Yeah, I do have control. So what is the power of ICU? It really is simply what that statement says up there. It is a system that is built for making quality instruction and learning a priority in a school building. The formula for success is down there at the bottom. It includes completion plus quality assignments and healthy grading to lead to student success. We'll get into those details as we open this up, and really our presentation is designed to answer for you the what, how, why that we came about with implementing this process. We are 1 semester and 5 weeks into implementing this program, and that's 2 years of work getting us to the point that we're at with what we're going to present to you today. So you'll see up there, I have an image, and then I'll jump into my bullets. Like, why did we do this? What was the rationale for jumping into a program? So often you hear in education that we get into these different programs, and they last 2 or 3 years, and then we forget them, right? Can you hear me?
Well, online.
The online.
The people.
Got you. Okay,
There's
thank you.
12,000 online right now listening. It's incredible.
Nope, no
How about
pressure.
now? Has somebody got a volume gauge that's going up and down at the moment?
I'll let you know in a second.
Thank you. So, the why behind this, we follow Pat Lencioni's model as a building leadership model at the junior high. You'll see that image that's up there. Those 5 questions are really our mission and vision. And our leadership team is the big reason why we made this change. We allow for shared leadership in the building, and I let our leadership team know, hey, I want your input on this, and I'm making the final call with some of our decisions that are building level. And other decisions, I let them know this is your deal. And we were doing win time. It stands for what I need time. It was focusing only on language arts and math. And what we learned in going through that process is we didn't get a lot of teacher buy-in because you've got a lot more departments in language arts and math. It wasn't a holistic system. A lot of RTI programs pull students out of class in a class that's important or a class that a kid cares about, because we may have kids, and you know this, I experienced this growing up, PE was about the only class that you cared about going to school. When you pull them out to do language arts or math, you're going to have an upset kid, maybe an upset parent. So this system allowed us to do something more holistic. Basically, our staff wasn't satisfied with that. And that brings us to that formula at the bottom there. John Neuenberg talked about the formula for change. And when you have dissatisfaction, your vision and your first steps are greater than resistance, you've got a situation where you can actually enact or implement some change. And that's literally what we had. Our kids were underperforming. Our staff was dissatisfied with the disorganization of what we were doing, and it was time for us to make a change. So how did we get there? I had a good friend that told me about Power of ICU. He said, Garrett, you've got to go to Murfreesboro this summer. This was 2 years ago. And he said, you've got to go visit Danny Hill. Like, just got to give the guy a chance and see what he's doing. So I went to Murfreesboro. I fell in love with the concepts that they were presenting there and how intimate the conference was, and the people really cared about getting to know you. There was only about 60 people that attended the conference, and they were from little spaces of all corners of the United States. After that, I went to visit an assistant principal at Kennett Middle School, who I'm mentoring right now through the Missouri Leadership Development System. First and second year principals are required to do that program, and one of my requirements as his mentor was to go down and visit. Kennett Middle School is 6th through 8th middle school. They have over 600 kids. They have a very similar demographic to us, and I could not believe how quiet the hallways were in the morning. Wow. It blew me away. So I started asking questions, what are you guys doing differently? And what I learned was that they had a program where any kid that had a D or an F was required to do a study hall, and they didn't serve any kids breakfast. In the morning, those kids just went in the cafeteria, and most of their morning supervision was teachers providing tutoring and study hall. The rest of their kids that were all caught up or their grades were good enough were in the gym with 2 administrators. And the organization, the peace and order that was going on there, I had to bring some of that back. So I shared some of that with our leadership team. I said, hey, if we combine these 2 things, I think we might have something going on. And my leadership team said, Garrett, if you want us to do something, you got to show us how to do it. So take us somewhere where we've got a model of how this program can work. And that's where Stewart's Creek came in. Stewart's Creek High School is in Smyrna, Tennessee. It's just outside of Nashville. And they are one of the top academic schools in the counties all around that surrounding area. There's only one other school that outperforms them, and it's what's called it's a private institution or a charter school, but it's got a specific name in Tennessee, and I can't remember it, but there's only one county in their area that outperforms them. They have over 2,200 students in their high school, and they've collected 100% of all assignments from those 2,200 plus students for the last 10 years.
Wow.
Tell me about that statistic, right? So I was interested. We took a team of 9 different staff members down with us to Smyrna. We walked around their high school, we did tours, we listened to their band director, we listened to their athletic coaches, we listened to their administrators, teachers, and my staff was like, where's our starting point? We've got to do something like this. So we brought it back. Our leadership team were calling for those 3 things. I've already hit on some of those highlights, but safety, peace, and order, and making learning a priority in our building. So that's where we got started. Where are we today? And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Connor.
So, if you don't know, I'm also the athletic director, and so I'll get into a little bit more of that, how we do it with our athletes and coaches. But so where are we today? So we offer extra time and support all throughout the day. Before school, as you can see up there, 5 days a week. When they come in the front door, we have one entrance in our building now. Everybody comes in our front door and is checked to see if they're on the ICU list. If they have 3 assignments or more missing, they go to our field house lobby where we have tables set up and we have tutors in there to help them finish those assignments. If they're not on the list, they go to the auditorium. 8th graders and the 7th graders go to the small gym. So like I said, that's 5 days a week, 7:05 to 7:31. As soon as our doors open, they go straight in there. They're required to go in there. It's not an option. Then after our second period, we have what we call ICU time, which used to be our win time, but now it's ICU time, and it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We don't do it on Wednesday because of the early release in our schedule. But like I said, between second and third period, students may travel. So if they have one of our PE teachers for ICU time and they need extra help on some assignments in ELA or math, they can travel. We give them a card and they travel to that classroom. And why does it say? Oh, 2 years. Okay. So as they come into 7th grade, we give them an ICU teacher. So they will have that teacher for ICU for 2 years. So they'll have all of 7th grade, all of 8th grade year. So they'll stay with them, build relationships, and really work together with them. So after that, we have what we call working lunch. We do that 4 days a week. If they have 5 or more missing assignments, they get called down right at the beginning of lunch, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And they take their lunch up to we have 2 different areas, one for math, one for ELA. And they take their lunch up there and they eat their lunch while they're working. That's why we call it working lunch, to get those assignments completed. So they don't like that because they're missing time with their friends at lunch and they're missing what you would call recess, free time outside playing basketball, hanging out with their friends. Then also our last one is we have after school ICU time. It's from 2:48, which is when we get out of school, all the way till 4, and that they can use that as needed. Sometimes we will assign them for that, but they can sign up for that as well, and they have an activity bus home as well, so they don't have to worry about transportation. Just continue on. We have what we call lifeguards. In the ICU program, we have 6 adults that we call lifeguards, and the communication is key with that, and they walk around during ICU time and meet with individual students, talk about what assignments they're missing. What we really stress with our staff, especially our lifeguards, but not all throughout, is common language. What we call them love beeps. The ICU program calls them love beeps. Just like if you get in your car and you don't put your seatbelt on, what's it do? Ding, ding, it drives you nuts until you put your seatbelt on, right? So that's what they call love beeps. Common language. All teachers in our building are saying, what do you owe? How can we help you? What are your plans to finish this? We don't let kids off the hook. In the past, you may talk to them a couple times about it and they don't finish it, you just give them a 0. Well, they're off the hook, right? They don't care. A lot of them don't care. So we don't let them off the hook. Just continue to encourage them. I can't get that. Can you get that? I'm going to click on the database here. So the ICU database, we pay for each year. It's amazing. All our teachers have access to it. As you can see there, we won't show you the whole thing because it's got specific kids' names on it. But this is our dashboard.
This is live that you're looking at right now. This is currently what's going on in our building.
Yeah,
71%.
It's a running total all the time. We have over 70% completed assignments at this point. Like I said, we're 5 weeks in. If you'll scroll down to that bar graph there, you'll see all of our clubs, all of our after-school athletic teams. They're all entered into the database underneath that roster. So if you can look at the football there, for example, The football coach goes in and he looks and he can see every kid on his football team who's missing assignments. So we've had buy-in with our coaches. I know there was a little bit uncertainty at the beginning, and I would have thought the same thing when I was coaching. But if they are missing assignments, they sit out of practice until they get those assignments done. Now, a lot of coaches wouldn't buy into that, but our school has really bought into this, so they can work their way off of it. So they could be sitting out there on the edge of the track, finish an assignment, and then when they show coach they're done, they can put their helmet on and join in practice. Okay? So what that does, after a few times of doing that, the kids are learning, hey, I need to get my assignments done so I don't miss practice, because if they miss practice, they're probably not going to get the same amount of playing time. Okay? Yeah. So our database, like I said, our teachers have access to this. They're supposed to be looking at this every day. They're adding assignments. When they get them turned in, they take them off. And it's just a fantastic communication tool. Oh, yeah. So if you have children in our district, I'm not saying that your kid does this, if they do not turn in an assignment, they're missing assignment, and it gets put on a database, you as a parent gets a phone call, or not, you get a phone call?
Text message.
You get a text message.
Yeah, not that I know.
And an email stating what your child is missing and that they're on the ICU list.
And a student gets an email as well.
It actually doesn't tell me what they're missing. It just says they're missing an assignment for instance, Mr. Franklin today, actually.
Okay.
The email
But then you
gives
can-
more information if you go to it, but there's only so many characters in that text message,
Well-
and that's why. So it allows you.
But
to
it's
know.
great because then you can ask your kid, did you turn in that assignment for Mr. Franklin? He goes, yes, Mom.
Yeah. So just imagine as a parent, you're getting constant texts and emails that your kid is not turning in assignments. Love beeps. You're right. Then you're more likely to get on their butt a little bit and help work them off that list. So the last bullet point there is called Blitz Days. So once a quarter?
We have 3 per semester.
3 days per semester. Sometimes they're unannounced. Sometimes we tell the kids they're coming up. If second half of the day, we have, if you're not on the ICU list, you get to go have a blitz day, which we go, it depends on what it is. We go outside, we have volleyball games, we have football games, softball, just a fun day out there, outside. We have food trucks that come in that they can buy food from. But if you have any missing assignments, you are stuck inside in a classroom finishing up your assignments. So our first one is unannounced. So they'll learn real quick, hey, I need to get my assignments in, because at any time we could have a blitz day, and I don't get to go outside with my friends, and play and have a good time. So that's just another aspect of it. You got anything to add about blitz days? No? Okay. All right. Oh,
Can I ask you a question?
I think
If they, let's say they're in there, they have a missing assignment, there's a blitz day, they get their assignment done, do they just sit there the rest of the time?
No.
They get to go
that's
out there then?
That's one piece I did want to add. We call these our layers of support, right? We've got 8 of them right now. We're working on what that'll be. We've got 8 layers of support, and we're working on what that'll look like moving forward. Our kids, we don't want it punitive at all. With working lunch, too, if kids get finished, Mrs. Langston, they're out. They're able to go to the recess if they earn that in the blitz. So see how motivating that is,
So
and then
it's
it
not, you're
becomes
just stuck
intrinsic.
here, even
That's
if you
right.
only have one problem
They're not in
left.
trouble either. Like another thing that we
not
kind of
all
messed
lost.
up with last semester, and we learned real quick. Like we've got to have the right adults in there that really know the content. And what we've learned through visiting these other schools and through our own practice last semester with our pilot is if we have language arts teachers, most of them are pretty good at social studies or anything that has to do with reading. So they can pretty much tutor those kids, right? If we have science teachers or a math teacher, most of them can help with the math or the science and extra coursework. So we've got it designed now where we have 2 or more tutors in every session with our kids, and they can directly help them. Mrs. Russell?
I get the privilege of all the amazing data that shows how well we're doing with this. So what I would like to show you is We look at behaviors, we look at our total fights. So I want you to note as we look through this, we're talking about August 22nd through September 13th of last year and then of this year. So remember, last year, first semester, we've done absolutely nothing with the ICU program. So you will see last year, sorry, I have to be able to move. So before I jump over there, I should tell you, this is last year as a whole. We're talking about how many fights that we had in 2021, 2022, and then 2022, 2023. So again, let me clarify this because I was looking ahead. That first bar graph is the entire year in gray, and then in yellow, note the second semester we were doing ICU as a pilot. So you can see the change in even one semester as a pilot of our fights. That's a 25% decrease. And then this one is the one I was talking about, August 22nd through September 13th. You notice total behavior incidents and then total fights. So you're looking at differences of the exact amount of dates in 1 year where we've done nothing with it because of that timetable to then we're looking at doing it full force. So again, huge decreases there. We're very proud of this.
The only thing I was going to say is we also want to thank the board because you all supported us, our district administration. We really think that that fight decrease had to do with the policies that you all helped us implement last year to hold our kids accountable. If they kept fighting, we got them out of school, and we appreciated that support.
So this is what you're really interested in, I know, when we talk about academics and such. What you're looking at here is going to be failing grades by semester. That poll is just in the wrong spot over here. So when you're looking at the failing grades per semester, you're looking at semester 1 of last year where we have done, again, no work with the ICU program. Second semester, that's our pilot, and we've made that change. It's a 16% decrease, but I do want to point out one thing. Last fall, we changed our grading procedures where it used to be quarter 1 and quarter 2 were each average to make the semester, and we changed that. So when you look at a semester grade, you're looking at cumulatively what they have learned. And so that changes too from a previous year because you're looking at from day 1 to the end of the semester, what did I actually learn? So we changed that beforehand, and then you see that change also come with a 16% decrease. Now, the A honor roll, this is something we're super proud of. I think we love this statistic more than anything because when you look, 2021, 2022, we have 45 7th graders make the A roll, 46 8th graders. 2022, 2023, again, we haven't made the change until second semester. 103 in the 7th grade and 90 in the 8th grade. Those increases alone speak for themselves, but when you look at apples to apples, same kids, because we don't get to do that very often, you look at the kids that were in 7th grade, that 45, by 8th grade, they're 90. We're talking a 50% increase. To me, that's more than anything we've done, and that's just a semester in. That top corner, you can't see it, but what it says is that 93%.
Just look at the blue.
Yeah. 93% of our assignments were turned in last semester. So we're not at that 100%, but 93% in a pilot, and those are assignments that we would never have gotten. Kids that are like, well, I didn't turn it in on day 1. Why do I need to turn it in? That's what we're passionate about because we know we didn't let them off the hook. They learned the information, and we helped them along the way. So that extra time, extra support, 93%. I think that speaks for itself.
Thank you.
Not yet.
Well, let's let our teachers share a little bit of it, and I don't know if I can. So this is Mrs. Emily Smith. She's a language arts teacher. She's a department chair. And then we'll play Mrs. Heather Ray. She's a science teacher. I want you just to listen to them. You can listen to us all day. We're excited. We're proud. But our staff, these gals right here, are the boots on the ground that are making this thing go every day.
Hi, I'm Emily Smith, 7th grade ELA teacher at Terry W. Kitchen Junior High School, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about ICU and the way we brought it into our building. First of all, I have to admit, when ICU was first introduced as a concept for our building, I was not really on board. It seemed to me like we were going to be letting students off the hook and that it was actually going to add work to the teacher plate, even though our administration kept insisting, no, trust the process. So we did a book study, and after really analyzing the program and learning more about it, I was on board. It forced me to have some long, hard conversations with my ELA team, and at the end of it, we realized, okay, we've got to just totally revamp how are we grading and what is actually making its way into the grade book. Because the whole concept between ICU is that student grades should truly reflect student learning and student understanding. So we had to decide, no more participation grades. If it is a teacher-led assignment, we shouldn't be grading it. That's just looking at how well they can basically copy what we tell them. It shouldn't be group work or anything like that. The only assignments we grade are the ones that we're looking at, did they master the concept, and assessments. So the grade book is just a true reflection of student mastery. Because then if they haven't mastered it and their grades aren't looking great, then we can put them on the ICU list and give them that assistance and extra tutoring and time to make sure they do master the concept. Along with it, I had to admit, we're not actually letting the students off the hook. The way we used to do it, that was letting students off the hook. Students could just take the 0. They could take the failing grade. They could put in half the effort, or they could just say they don't understand it and move on from it and never be held accountable to that. That's no longer an option. Between morning ICU time, working lunch, afternoon ICU, and even the support of our coaches and club leaders, students have no choice but to do their work now. You cannot just take the missing or the 0 because you're not going to be allowed to participate in practice. Or when you walk in our building in the morning, we're going to move you into the tutoring time. Me, as your teacher, I'm not the only one tracking you down and asking you and begging you to please do your work. I have a whole team of support behind me, and we are all on the same page in making sure that students are doing the work. So then if they're just choosing not to do it, there are going to be consequences. They don't get recess, or they don't get to play in that game, or they don't get to go to practice because they're going to do the assignment. If they didn't do it or they failed it because they didn't understand, there's a whole team of tutors there and ready to help them. And maybe it's not me who's tutoring them, but there's another ELA teacher or another teacher who does understand, and they're getting taught in a different way. And it just overall has led to, we know students are learning, we know they're mastering the concepts, and the ones who need the extra time and support, we're now able to give that to them. And it's just been a beautiful addition to our building, and I just see it getting better and better as we're moving forward. And I'm just really proud that this is something we've been working so hard on, and we're seeing the fruits of that labor. We're seeing success, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Heather Ray, Science Teacher, Department Chair.
Hey there, my name is Heather Ray. I'm an 8th grade science teacher and also department chair. When ICU came about, my group especially was a loud opponent against ICU, and one of our greatest arguments against it was accountability. We felt that the students weren't learning accountability because they got unlimited chances to turn something in. Now that I've seen this process roll out, I can 100% say that is such an incorrect way of thinking. Our job and our purpose is to make sure that the students learn the standards. We want to teach kids, and ICU is about that. If a student is not performing well on an assignment, I can place that assignment on ICU for the student to redo. Lets that student know, like, hey, we need to look back at this, we need to try harder, and it also holds the teacher accountable. I am checking back in with that student. We've got other teachers in the building checking back in with that student to see, hey, what do you need? What can I do to help and support you? A positive story that I wanted to share that happened just this last week. I had a student that had been absent numerous days. He had gotten in some trouble and was an ISS, and Amy Mattis went to ISS because she does working lunch. She's also an 8th grade science teacher, and she revisited these items that I had placed on ICU for him with him. She was able to reteach some of the lessons that he was not getting due to his absences, and she came back and said, thank goodness these were on ICU, because we would have not known that this student needed help until it was time for the test.
So to close this out, I think you can see we've raised the standard in our building, and that is the most exciting thing for us. This is here to stay. Our staff is buying in and they're believing in what we're doing because they're seeing the benefits for our kids and themselves. It's one of those things where we've got the 2-for-1 there. So what's most important right now? We are refining our ICU practices. We're looking at that formula and seeing where we meet some of those things and where we don't. We're working on a book study that was chosen by our leadership team. Danny Hill wrote this book with Garnett Hillman. She's kind of an expert in grading and was a former foreign language teacher. And we're going to work on our 4 different PD days throughout the school year to kind of hit on action steps that we can take to get rid of behavior in grades, to get rid of kids turn in tissue boxes so we give them extra credit. That's not a reflection of learning. We're going to get rid of this kid pissed me off in this class, so I'm going to hold it against them and not give them the grade that they deserve. We're out on all that stuff. Now it truly is about, okay, does the kid understand the standard, and are our assignments tied to Missouri State standards or not? And we're just starting. We're just scratching the surface, but we really love the direction that we're headed. Again, prioritizing learning and looking at those pieces of that ICU formula completion, we kind of got figured out. Last semester we learned a lot about that, and we're on our way. I keep telling our staff, and I'll say it here too, you can mark it down, you can write it if you want, we're going to get to 100%. I don't question that. We've got a system down for that now. Healthy grading, we're working through it. We've got some bad habits that we've had and have taken years to develop in our grading habits, and we're going to work through that together. But our teachers see the need for that, and that's the blessing in that. And then quality assignments, making sure everything we're giving our kids is not fluff work, that if we're going to have them redo or retry an assignment, it's actually tied to a Missouri State standard, and there's a good reason or rationale behind that assignment we're giving. That is something that we'll work towards in the future. We are not there yet. Yes, any questions?
Leave it to me to ask all the questions. Okay, so I know you mentioned assignments. They can redo assignments if they don't do well. Okay, and as a parent, I know that's a thing. But do we have something in place? And I imagine I know the answer to this. But do we have something in place where we say, you turned this in, but all you did was garbage on the entire paper. So even though you handed it to me with something written down, this is unacceptable. Go back and give me some quality work here, please.
It doesn't come off the list in the database if it's not quality work.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and different departments actually have defined, like with a math assignment, for instance, if they don't get 70% or better, we're going to retry. We're going to, again, raise that standard and show that you understand, hey, we got this one down. Let's move on to the next one. And another thing, we talk about the kids that struggle with taking a test, right? So to answer that question or right along those lines, sometimes our teachers will just sit down with a kid, and we've told them, hey, this is okay. You're not cheating the system. If you sit down with a kid that's more of an auditory learner, like Mr. Cook was, and doesn't want to go through and read all that, but knows the content, you can ask them 3 or 5 questions that really apply to what you're trying to teach, and they can answer them correctly. Well, we're going to tell Bobby or Susie, good job, shake their hand, and put an A down in the grade book because they showed us that they understand the content. Now we built a relationship with the kid, and we held them accountable. Any other questions we can help with?
You mentioned tutors. Who's doing that work?
So several staff members, in fact, help me with the numbers so I don't misquote this, but we have in the mornings and after school, so we have 3 on both sessions.
3 certified tutors, so they're actually teachers in our building at each session, every morning, and then 3 afternoons. So
we have 4 during working lunch. 2 are specifically math and science. You're looking at 2 of them. And 2 are specifically language arts and social studies. We help with the working lunch, so we're doing the work with our teachers and they're not doing it alone. But I bet you overall, to answer your question, would you say 12 to 15 of our teachers are involved with it?
At least, yeah.
How many of our kids are you seeing in working lunch, and are we doing after school yet, or?
So really,
that just
the data
started,
you're
didn't it?
looking at, we've only got 2 weeks this semester of having working morning in place and working lunch. So you're really looking at 71% completed assignments with 2 weeks of full implementation this school year. So we're really excited with that as well. But to answer your question, when we first started, the first week we did work lunch 2 weeks ago, we had 3 to 5 kids.
Okay.
Now, this week, we've got 7 to 10 in each session. So
But
20
still-
per A lunch, B lunch. So 40 kids we're serving.
So, but
with-
4 tutors
with
is
our
more
staff.
than enough for that. It's
Yeah,
not like there's
yeah.
100
It's
kids in there
manageable.
and 4 tutors.
Definitely.
And a lot of times they don't need the extra support, they just need the extra time. And so we're providing that as well.
I just want to say thank you. I think this is awesome. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's so cool. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's people who figured some of this stuff out, and kids are kids are kids. And so learning from other people is just awesome. And I can envision a day where people won't go to Smyrna, Tennessee. They'll come to Cape Girardeau to see what we're doing. It's pretty awesome. So congratulations. Keep it up.
Thanks a lot.
I'm glad to see that the teachers are buying into it. Because I know when the gentleman who wrote the book, The Power of ICU, came and presented, there was a lot of pushback because of the perception is that, well, I'm going to have to keep track of all these kids and make sure what they're doing, and they're learning more, and they're going to have to redo it, and you have to grade more. So there was a lot of pushback initially, and I was glad that you brought the 2 teachers to do their testimonials about it, because that's exactly what the initial thought was. But once they see that the kids are actually getting it, and when they start getting it, then they actually have to do less work over a period of time, because kids don't want to have to go to ICU, and they don't want to have to put in that extra work. They want to go have fun with their friends, so they're going to do the work to get out of having to go to tutor sessions. So I'm glad that they're finally getting buy-in, because I mean, it's an amazing program, and it's proven, as you've seen in Tennessee and other places, that I mean, to have 10 years of 0 missed assignments
With
at a school.
2,200 kids.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you bring that up, because when we were discussing who to ask for this, and Emily and Heather would tell you that they were the loudest proponents of not doing this. And so that's why we wanted them. Like, they will tell you 100% they were not on board when we started. And so that's why this is such a big deal to hear them say that.
Maybe 2 other real quick comments. One, you can see that the kids are buying into from like the difference between 7th grade and 8th grade missing assignment data says that when you raise the bar of expectation for kids, they rise to meet it. And so the kids that have seen this now for the 2nd year are starting to say, I get it. I don't want to lose those privileges. I did that last year. That was dumb. I want to move forward. I guess my second point or question is, I know you're only in charge of the junior high, but when they leave your building and then go spend 4 years across town, are there thoughts of implementing this to high school? Are we doing something similar to high school? I'm sure you've talked to people there.
That's not for me.
Okay.
So cute.
And we're literally a semester in.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's early, and we've got some learning to do. Like, we're still polishing for sure. We haven't arrived, right? Like, we don't think that. We just love what we've seen, and our staff does, and we're just going to keep growing and getting better. If that leads to other things that benefit other buildings, bring it on.
And you guys could be building those habits at this level that
Sure.
carry through. So that's really fantastic.
And
I
that's
love
what-
the passion.
And that's what the data shows. If when you read the book and talk to schools that have done that it does. I mean, by having it for 2 to 3 years in a junior high setting, it does carry over into high school, and they see, fewer
So 20
issues.
years ago, in 2003, Danny Hill went to a conference that led his teachers to keep a list for completion. And long story short, because I won't get in the weeds of all that, 2004, his staff implemented, let's track our kids' assignments and hold them accountable for getting it done. So if they do the work, their grades get better. Like, who'd have thought, right? So they start doing that, and that's the story Danny will tell you. Well, he spent several years with that same staff at a K-8 school in Lebanon, Tennessee, and that's where this all originated. The school he was at, Southside Elementary, he tells a story about teachers getting in fights. Like, it was like the worst school, worst reputation. not kids, teachers getting in fights because it was just a bad place. People not wanting to buy in that area of the town where Southside Elementary was. And by the end of his career and his tenure there with Power of ICU, what it had become, it was a school to be at. It had turned around completely. So, yeah, God willing, and with a lot of extra work and all the things that we're trying, will be the place to be at.
I want to thank you too, because actually last year when you started all this, my kid came home and I was with Miss Emily Smith. Okay, like what is the there's no consequence for not doing your work, right? I had all these concerns, and you actually sold me. Actually, I will say over the last 8 months or whatever, you've sold me on this gradually. But you're getting parent buy-in too, is I guess what I'm trying to tell you. Because I was really concerned last semester going, you know what, now we can just infinitely turn in our paperwork, but they do have consequences, you know, and they may not be a graded consequence, but nobody wants love beeps, okay? And so, you know, I think you're getting parent buy-in too, and that's exciting because we all have to be a team.
I'm going to add one more statistic to it, and this is I can see your attendance for your after school, before school programs, and you've already got, just for the morning session, 261 students who've taken part.
Well, and those are 261 different students.
That's right.
So you have students that have been there every single day. So thank you, Mr. Russell.
This husband-wife thing is almost like cheating the system right now. I like it. Awesome.
Great job. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for all that you're doing.
Keep us updated on that 100%.
Yeah, we'll do.
Next semester.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, next we have Aspiring Leadership Academy program update. Mr. Beck.
Give Mr. Russell time to jump over here. Just a short update tonight. As you know, we're very excited this year. For the first time ever within the district, we've started our own Aspiring Leadership Cohort. Originally, when we proposed this idea to all of you board members, we were planning to allow up to 5 members in the first year cohort. We received an overwhelming response this year with a large number of highly qualified applicants that were all kind of vying for the same number of spots. Dr. Binion took that into consideration and then made the decision to allow up to 8 spots in the first cohort this year. We were just shy of having 20 qualified applicants that had actually put in applications for consideration through the entire program this year. So the selection process, we formed a district level committee, invited all of our building administrators to take part in that, and was rigorous. It involved evaluating various elements of their professional career, including their education level, certifications, classroom teaching experience within the district already as an educator, and then their individual responses for the questions that we have put on their applications. So after careful consideration, we have selected our first cohort that met this past week. This is just a snapshot. I'm not going to go through the presentation, but our first theme and topic for programming was all about culture and climate and why that matters most in any organization. Dr. Binion spoke at that presentation that night. We introduced not so much a book study, but some investigative reading material we're going to study by John Maxwell this year, The Self-Aware Leader. But a big part of this announcement was I actually wanted to announce who was selected for our cohort. That way you'll be able to congratulate them across the district as you're in and out of the buildings. So we have Ms. Courtney Hanstein, Ms. Ashton Doran, Mr. Tyler Loppy, Ms. Shannon Ritter, Ms. Caitlin Contreras, Ms. Laura John, Ms. Shannon Berghoff, and Ms. Amy Dunn will make up our first ever cohort of the Aspiring Leadership Academy. So that's my update for tonight. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Congratulations, Tyler. Thank you. Okay, next we have Community Teachers Association report. Pat yourself on the back.
Please make sure you tell them that my presentation was the most influential on you.
Out of all. All right, so we're going to go through our building shout-outs here tonight, starting at Alma Schreier. I Hey.
Moving right along.
Appreciate it. All right, here we go. Shout out to Miss Owens for jumping in at Alma Schroeder to the swimming lessons that their students started. She loves our students and does everything she can to add extra joy to their day, as well as our staff. Mrs. Schrader has been a great addition to the Schroeder fam and the third grade team. She has great ideas and is always willing to help out. We're so proud to have her. At Blanchard, Mrs. Bova is doing a great job getting the Blanchard News team going. Bryce Peacock is doing an amazing job at modifying assignments for her EL student. She has embraced the support. At CAO, Mr. Tom, the transporter, from what I was told on this, found out that it was a birthday of a student he was bringing to the Positive Pathways, and he went and got cupcakes for the student to share with the class as a birthday surprise, and the students described it as the best day ever. At Central Academy, Coach Steve Hemby covered my classroom for half a day when the student was suddenly unavailable, or when the substitute was suddenly unavailable. They had a very important doctor's appointment, and the actions made it possible to keep it, and I'm grateful for him. Also at Central Academy, Officer Atlas is extremely proactive and consistently checks in with students who need a hand up or someone to speak to. Most don't see how much work he puts in behind the scenes to build a relationship with students and to change students' outlook on law enforcement. Miss Tracy Marikel has done a phenomenal job of stepping into the counselor role at CA. She quickly established a schedule to meet all students and has many students meeting with her on a consistent basis for future and further support. Her demeanor, work ethic, and passion for students is exactly what Academy needs for this position, and we are lucky to have her. At Clippard, shout out to Kelly Bruns, one of our third grade teachers. She received a grant from Women Connect Women to build raised gardens at Clippard. She built them with the help of her family, and they have 4 raised gardens. The students can plant, water, and observe. They will grow plants to enhance learning that is taking place in their curriculum, and they will also plant something to take home each year. At CTC, shout out to Randy McWilson for the awesome updated program videos for our building. Frank Houchins and the entire custodial staff at CTC have gone above and beyond preparing and maintaining our building. Additionally, they fill in across the district, helping with waxing floors and cleaning other schools when vacancies open up. At the Early Childhood Center, shout out to Miss Julia Jorgensen, Jorgensen, who keeps us going on a daily basis. We couldn't do it without her. Also, thanks to Robin Thomas, who arrives each day and early each day and unlocks all the doors and answers the phones. She is so helpful. At the high school, shout out to Sarah Watson for getting all those things done that no one realizes because they are done and done right. Shout out to Mr. Hitt, who was elected as honorary football coach by the players for his positive influence on students. At Jefferson, shout out to our new custodian staff for jumping in and helping get our school back in tip-top shape. We greatly appreciate it. Also, shout out to our wonderful reading teachers for working so hard to figure out the new testing and making the transition and paperwork go smoothly for classroom teachers. At the junior high, this teacher wrote, I was having a really hard time setting up and figuring out Canvas, but Rosie Long had me over on her day off to help me out. Not many people would use their day off to help someone else out, so I greatly appreciated it. It helps me have a smooth start to my week, and I feel more confident about using Canvas now. At the middle school, shout out to Miss Fisher and Miss McDaniel for being a fantastic team. They hold their students to high expectations and can be seen modeling great behavior in the hallways for other classes. Thank you to Mrs. Hartman for leading our staff prayer group each and every Wednesday. You always seem to know just what we need. Also, shout out to Jennifer Wilson. For years, she has created things to keep us organized and in the know. As a classroom teacher, I appreciate this tremendously. Not only has she coordinated schedules for our building this year, she runs our ICU program during our lunch and recess times each day. Thank you, Wilson, for going the extra miles. So that is all I have for shout outs. I do want to update you all. We had our first CTA meeting at Rosati's back at the beginning of the month, and we had about 20 members show up, and so we were very excited to see that number growing. If food was an incentive, we'll take it, and we'll keep growing. Our number overall, I think, is growing up. We don't have a specific yet, but I will get back with you because I'm very excited to share that with you when we have it. So does anybody have any questions for CTA? All right, well, we appreciate your work you do, so thank you guys.
Thank you. Okay, next we have the Treasurer Finance Report.
Okay, the report that I'm going to talk about is the August 2023 Fund Balance Report. Beginning fund balance for the general fund was $18.6 million. $744,000 of revenue was received with expenses of $1.7 million. A little over $1 million was transferred to the special revenue fund, leaving us with an ending fund balance in the general fund of $16.579 million. The cash and investment details are listed below. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Next is Support Services Report.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I like that, Jamie.
Which one is it?
Support Services. There you go. All right, pre-bid meeting was held for the Red Star project, Central Academy. The specs are out, so everything is out for bid on the items that we're not doing in-house. We're doing all the electrical and plumbing in-house, but obviously there's some items that we had to bid out, so we'll be getting that here in the next couple of weeks, looking at it, analyzing it, and bringing something to you at the October board meeting. Phase 2, the practice facility, I'll give that a little bit later tonight in an update on there as far as when we get to the business aspect of tonight's meeting, because there's some really exciting just feel around the community, and people are excited about it and what it's going to become and what it's going to offer. For our CTC project, our update is last week soil samples and geotesting was completed, and we're waiting for the results of that. However, where we built 8 years ago, 7 years ago with the current MAC building, we should not be surprised with the soil samples that we've gotten. Everything looks still good, but we'll get the official report sometime later this week. And then we're continuing to have meetings on the layout, what we're looking at, fine-tuning that. Right now we're looking at having to increase the ceiling height in the building that'll be constructed due to the bridge crane that we're looking at installing. And the bridge crane is basically a piece of equipment that can take very heavy items from one end of the building to the other. And we want to make sure that the load weights and the infrastructure is all set up to carry for that. For transportation, routes are running better. However, Robinson has had to use some sub-drivers here recently. Some of our normal day-to-day drivers are using some medical time due to some health concerns they have, so we wish them quick recoveries. And this has brought in some sub-drivers, so that's made our routes a little bit longer than normal. So we're working through that, but we're also in the middle of multiple sports seasons taking place. This is causing a delay because sometimes we have up to 5 buses being pulled out of rotation at any given time due to a junior high game, a high school soccer game, cross country, junior high, volleyball, softball, so on and so forth. So we're covering that with sub-drivers. Sometimes we have to double up on routes. If we've got 2 small routes on 2 separate buses, we may put 2 of those small routes together on 1 bus, trying to do our best. So there have been some delays, but we're addressing it the best that we can. In nutrition services, the high schools recently started to sell a la carte items again, and we're seeing a lot of excitement from our students and staff. They can get additional a la carte items that they normally don't do, and we do that with intentionality, where we want to get them accustomed at the high school to the traffic flow going through. Once they kind of get that settled, then we start adding more items, and they can shop a little bit more. And then after we roll out at the high school, then we push it down to the junior high level, and so on and so forth. Just for your knowledge, that this Wednesday, September 27th, we're going to be hosting a regional safety training also for surrounding school districts here at the board office all day. And that is all I have for the report.
Do you guys have any questions? I do have a question about the safety training. Are you leading that, or are you bringing somebody in for that?
This one I'm leading.
Okay.
And it's on risk assessment training. Right now we have 7 districts signed up to attend our region. But just going a little bit deeper into that, through one of the things I do for MSBA in trainings there, we've gotten new partnerships that we're developing with the Eastern FBI office and also Secret Service Department out of St. Louis. This spring semester, we're looking at being a regional training site for them, where they'll come in and present on initiatives that they're pushing out for school safety, and we'll host that. And there'll be a few other initiatives that we're looking at pushing out as well, too.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have board reports, the MSBA delegate report.
We had the regional meeting last Wednesday. If you want to play trivia, get Kyle on your team, not Dr. Binion. But, no, it was a good meeting. I think St. Genevieve, Perryville, ourselves were there. So that's about all for us. Oh, yeah, there was a couple others. I didn't read all the name tags. So, but thanks to the CTC to host it.
On the Cape Public School Foundation, there is no report this month. Moving on to approval of consent agenda items. This includes minutes of the previous meeting from August 28th, payment of bills, an addendum to part-time employee salary schedule, agreement with Craig Home Care for private duty nurse. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion. I'm just gonna give a little bit of background on a couple of these. The part-time employee salary, the recommendation is to approve the addition of a healthcare professional substitute salary schedule at a rate of $22 per hour. And this will be placed under the existing part-time employee salary schedules. And the reason for this is they're just trying to be competitive with that. And the other one, the agreement with Craig Home Care for the private duty nurse. And this is to authorize the superintendent to enter into an agreement on behalf of the board with Craig Home Care, a PHS company, for the school year to secure a private duty nurse for a student whose individualized education program requires said services. So, any discussion on that?
I know Mandy's the contact person for that. Do we know how many hours that student?
I don't know the exact hours, but I know most of it's billable to Medicaid. So we'll be reimbursed through Medicaid.
Okay, those in favor of approving the consent agenda items indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstention? Motion seconded and carried. Next is business. So the first item is approval of the new continuous school improvement plan. Waiting for this to come up.
It's a little slow.
Okay, do you want me to talk about this, or do you?
Motion.
Oh, yeah. Can I get a motion to
So-
approve?
Second.
All right, now, discussion.
This is our continuous school improvement plan that we've been working on since last year. EGL helped us form our objectives. We have now completed it. What we will be doing is we'll be going out and speaking to different organizations. We've been doing that actually since last year in April, but we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to have some other open meetings where we can discuss some of our specific goals and our objectives for our continuous school improvement plan. What we need to approve this for is so that I can submit this to the Department of Education. I have to do that by October 1st. It is completed. We will have more information. We're working on an interactive, because it's a lot of information. Mr. Russell has been creating an interactive portion of this that's going to be connected to our website, that you can go into each individual objective and actually look at the data. Once we get the data, it will be live. We will be pushing it up to our website, every time we get new data points, so that we'll continue to just use that information to lead our district. This is actually our roadmap for the next 5 years. Our continuous school improvement plan is for the next 5 years. So this is something we've put a lot of time into. Everybody really has taken ownership, including our administrative team and all building principals and teachers as well. This was built through EGL, who went out and actually collected data with our teachers, with our community, with our principals, with our administrative team, with our board, just about everybody we could get involved to collect information, and then we created these standards, these goals. So I'm looking forward to submitting it and continuing to work the plan. We've already started working some of the plans and have presented on that. So each month we will be presenting each different parts of the continuous school improvement plan.
And when will it be online? Like, so we can give out the link?
It's getting close. We all worked on it last week a little bit.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jamie.
There's 70 action items across all of the 14, 15 different goals that we have, and so making sure that we have the right information on each of them is a lot. And so we had to wait till language got approved tonight to be able to put those in the right places as well. And so
then that'll be a live link that anybody in the public can click on, go see.
It's already up, the link that it will be on, which has the 3 main goals there currently, and that'll be replaced as soon as we get it up.
You
Maybe
can
even
go on our
later.
website and type in strategic plan, and it will come up. Mr. Russell, you can so that you can start looking at our specific objectives. You can also look at it on our board central as well, Assembly.
Sorry, that mouse is really tiny. There we go. All right, so if you go to the website and you go to district information, and Mr. Payne, can you help me?
All the way down to the bottom,
All the way down to the
strategic
bottom.
plan.
Can't see where my mouse is.
Very bottom.
On the very bottom, it's the last.
Very mouse.
Can you
You
see
gotta
it?
move your mouse down more. It's like stuck. It's not doing it.
There we go.
There we go.
Or you can go
Look
into
it up.
search and type in strategic plan. and
Yeah,
it'll come up.
strategic plan, and there it is. There it will be. So.
We're very excited about this. This is something that we've been working on for several months now, so we're excited to start implementing and sharing it with our community as well.
Do you want to say how we're going to, a lot of what we talk about on our agenda, we're going to lead to?
Yes, as we start this year, you've probably been seeing Lead 1, Lead 2, Elevate 1, Elevate 2. That is tied to our continuous school improvement plan. So things that we are working on and approving as a board will have something linked to one of those specific objectives.
And those of you who have heard us say CSIP, CSIP, CSIP all over the place, this is what we're
Continuous
talking
school
about.
improvement plan.
Yeah. All right, do you have any questions? All right, those in favor of approving the continuous school improvement plan as presented indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion seconded and carried.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the approval of the contract for Phase 2 of the CHS Indoor Athletic Facility. So can I get a motion to approve this? I'll go ahead and read this. To authorize the superintendent or his designee to negotiate a contract on behalf of the board with CMAR Brockmiller Construction for Phase 2 of the indoor athletic facility at a cost not to exceed $2.5 million.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
All right. So we're excited that we're to this point, and where the numbers have come in at are much lower than what was expected when we originally went down this road. And there is a floor plan, actually, Jimmy, yes, if you can zoom in on that, you can see it on your tablet. So what we have in front of you, just to talk through what Phase 2 is going to encompass. is that through this process, we originally started with a 60-yard field and a 10-yard end zone, and through phase one, you all accepted a alternate to go the full width of a regulation field, and we're glad that we're able to do that. So you can truly get the size of this space, and if you've driven by the campus, you can see it's awesome. It's awesomely large. However, during the process, we kind of ran an audible, to use a sport term, and we wanted to make sure we could encompass more activities utilizing this space. And so we took 15 feet, so 5 yards, out of the south end of the facility, and we're installing, with your approval tonight, an alternate that we bid out that would be an outdoor track surface that has a long jump, triple jump going to the west, and then a pole vault area runway going to the east. And so we're able to capture more activities being able to utilize this facility. The mats would be taken up and taken down, and it would be the same surface that we have on our outside track as well. This is accounting for in phase two. We're going to have all netting included. So we will have what's called a championship batting cage, 2 parallel 70 by 20 length batting cages, pitching cages, 70 again, so it would be 40 foot wide by 70 feet in length, a divider curtain, and also wall padding. We're going to have kids in there flying full speed for a lot of different athletics, and so we want to make sure that the padding is on the walls, and that's why you'll notice little bump outs all along each wall. So where the steel structure is actually holding up the roof, all of those girders are protected, and the kids aren't going to hit a right angle. Everything is going to be angled, so it'd be a glancing blow if they get tackled into a wall. This is capturing all the locker rooms and the push out, and this is turnkey. So this facility will be done for this, and again, just a tremendous amount of positive response as our fall sports seasons have kicked off. People driving up, looking at it. One of the rumors that we've had to put a kibosh to was some of the football players thought once we're done with this facility, we're then enclosing the actual stadium. But we quickly, put an end to that. You are not going to have plans for me to build an actual full-size stadium enclosed over our current stadium. So again, we're just really excited. All the activities that can be captured in here is football, soccer, baseball, softball, track. In where our budget numbers are too, we're actually looking at installing a golf simulator as well that'll be able to capture our golf teams as well. We're going to limit access to that so we don't have grown-ups and adults in there all the time trying to play a links course or some other type of thing that they normally wouldn't have access to. So the storage facilities that this is providing, again, if you go back to when our high school was built, we weren't able to capture everything that we needed. And for those of you that went through that building or have had experience, this is going to be able to move multiple sports out of the inside facility to this facility as a home base, help bridge culture, and just ownership of programs and pride within our community. And this is further also going to open up resources for our intramural programs as well too, bringing kids in, doing winter league flag football leagues, indoor soccer leagues, so on and so forth. And it's just a lot of positive talk that's been taking place in the community. People are excited, they're seeing it, and it's becoming real now. So phase two will be, again, turnkey with a finished facility. There will be no phase 3 or 4 that'll be coming to you. So this will be it. Any questions?
So when you talk, Josh, about some of the changes potentially on the south side there, as I look at kind of some of the bid stuff that's in our package, are we going with some alternate, some version of like 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 + 5?
Okay, very good question. First off, look at addenda. That's column 1.
Okay.
What that is, those are updates or answers to questions that contractors had seeking clarity. And so what Brock Miller was in charge of on that process, for example, One of them was the ductwork and where it enters in from the building, because we didn't want a lot of ductwork on the north inside of the wall, on the north side. So there's a penetration point where the ductwork runs from the outside, comes in the building, and then we have sock ducts that'll run the turf area. That just tracks and makes sure that we are communicating to everybody that asks for the bid specs. They all have the same information, and there wasn't an unfair advantage that one company knew something over the other. Then we look at the alternates. The $168,000 on alternate 2, that's all the wall padding. However, we already are going, if we accept this, we will look at having what's called a change order. Due to the tune of about $32,000, there'll be a reduction there, a savings that we'll see, because this was for the wall padding system. The exterior coating of the wall padding is fire rated, and that extra $32,000 that gets you to $168,000. The interior foam is going to be fire rated as well. We do not need to do that due to building code, and plus this is a sprinkled building, so it has sprinkler systems in it. And so we got the approval, we're not needing to do that, so that's a savings of $32,000. Alternate 3 was actually adding the track surface in there. And so because the numbers came in so low, we were able to capture more activities. And it's not just long jump, triple jump, and pole vaulting. You know, we're gonna have our sprinters in there on starting blocks on a track surface during the middle of winter. So they're not out, you know, in freezing weather, and they can get those 25 contact practices in, you know, during the off season, actually on the true surface. And so that's what you're seeing there. If we look at, for another example, the metal studs package, interior plus their alternate 2, that would be an example of, since we're wanting to accept the wall padding, that $10,663 was to mud and tape sheetrock behind the wall padding. There's no need to do that because you're putting padding up over it. And so we have a savings there. You know, the other company, you know, was only going to give us a $2,000 deduct. So again, you know, savings there. And Midwest Painting, those additions that we're going to be accepting on there, that's actually epoxying the bathroom floors and the shower floors and a few other areas. It's a system called Desco Flooring. We've used it in multiple buildings. We've outfitted it. If you've been at Jefferson in the locker room area, and you see a lot of this in garages, it's an special epoxy paint, and then you throw chip flakes on it, and then you epoxy over it again, so it creates a very visually pleasing but yet very durable surface that will take the abuse for years to come. Any more in depth on that, Paul?
No, I just wondered. I saw, you know, different alternates in different phases. Are we saying that each of those numbers is relevant because we're doing it, or those are all being done? The pluses and minuses should all be inclusive of the winning bidder in each category?
Correct. However, it does need to be acknowledged on the plumbing package, on the mechanical package, Dutch Enterprises withdrew their bid. We are looking at going with Associated Sheet Metal. Dutch Enterprises did not actually include the cooling units for this building. They misinterpreted the plans and thought that was already included, and so that's why their bid is almost $100,000 cheaper than any other bid, and so we've allowed them to bow out without cause. Now, the one thing that this bid does not capture, or this contract does not capture, is the turf, and that's going to be the next motion.
Yeah, that's the next motion.
What I did there, if you follow along and you want to put the two bids side by side, is I, at the end, rejected all turf bids and decided to go the state contract buy board option, which we're members of that buy board. We're going to see a significant savings in the turf by going directly and operating with them instead of having that fall under the contractor. So if we had that under the contractor, there would be a charge there, typically about 6%. You know, it's just a handling fee as a go-between. But also, they're not having to deal with bond retainage, they're not having to deal with inventory retainage, and they're not having to bond and insure at another site while it's being held before it's installed. This will be our 4th turf system that we've installed in our district, and we know what we're doing. Also, there's a reduction in square footage of turf that's going in since we're asking you to add the track surface. That's dropping several thousands of square footage of turf that we don't need to put in, so that number's a little bit smaller as well too. So we have a very significant savings with the turf. The turf will match what is already at our stadium and what is also at our baseball softball complex as well too. So the kids are not having, and that was something that was very important to me, that the kids aren't practicing like on an indoor carpet that is totally different than what they would be competing on come game time or whatever activity that they're doing. So it'll even have the alternating light green, dark green. It'll have the same hash marks, the same lettering. I am asking in that next motion to have an orange end zone put in that replicates the end zone that we have. Kids, like especially with soccer, our goalies get used to what that area looks like defending the goal. They have certain visual markers looking at the turf and looking at the letters. I want everything identical so it doesn't throw them off for when they go out to our field.
So when you look at kind of the first phase, and I know it's not done yet, but like when that's completed, what do you currently project we will spend in phase 1 versus, I see this as being, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's 2.5 plus the 277.6 for the turf. That's different than the 2.5, right? Okay. So where are we at in phase 1? What do you think cost of phase 1 will be?
We're going to be around 2.45 is probably where we're going to finish up at. And we were authorized to be at 2.6. But those numbers are even lower than what we budgeted out and what we accounted for.
For reference, what was approved in the budget for this second phase?
Significantly more than what's in front of you.
Well, that's kind of my point though, like, so this is also coming in under what was projected or approved in the budget?
And that's including the extras that you mentioned, right?
We're getting a lot more bang for our buck than what we were accounting for. What you all approved in our budget was 3.1.
For phase 2.
For phase 2.
Okay.
Back in June.
Okay. Any other questions?
Was that with the pole vault pit and everything?
No.
Okay.
No, and so we've come to see that companies are hungry again. Companies are wanting to work. Companies are engaging. We are seeing some price decreases in supplies that we weren't expecting. And then we've also done certain things with our design that have saved a lot of money. In the storage room, if you were to look at the floor plan again, we've done some with like wall paneling and things of that nature. We're going in with marine grade plywood and it'll be painted and covered, but that's going to hold up a lot better than if we go to sheetrock, which is actually more expensive than certain plywoods. But yeah, it's a storeroom that's going to hold an ice machine, a golf cart, you know, and bags of footballs and soccer balls and hurdles and things. It doesn't need to be, it needs to be industrial. It needs to be, you know, high impact resistant. It doesn't need to be gypsum mortar drywall. And
Kyle,
it's actually cheaper.
You were saying the 3.1 didn't include the pole vaulting, the long jump and all that, right? That's what you were saying?
We didn't know that, no.
Right.
Not to speak for Kyle, but back then,
I just want to clarify.
we thought that was so far out of our
Right,
reach.
exactly.
And then when we started going through and putting more numbers in and utilizing the work of our CMAR, we, you know, a couple months ago, we had a pivot and we're like, hey, you know what would be cool? Nobody has this, and this actually opens it up to even a larger group of use.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Now, what we've been told by a few other people that have these facilities, they're like, good luck with scheduling. But we can make that work. You know, I mean, we have to do that already now. So.
And that is part of the 2.5, just wasn't originally part of the 3.1 outside of the turf.
Correct.
I'm trying to recall back, but I think I remember you saying that where our kids were throwing shot put was where we're building this.
Mhm.
and we were gonna have to have a new location for that. Are they
Mhm.
gonna be able to do that in here, or were they gonna do it somewhere else?
We
What's the
will
plan?
not throw shot put at all this year because it would.
Well, that's what I was thinking,
it
but,
would damage the
so,
turf.
so where will we do that?
So just to the north of this building, we've already constructed it. We did it in-house because we had track season last spring.
Right.
When they broke dirt. We have all new shot put platform. It also encompasses discus. And then right next to that runs parallel east to west with district. We have a javelin area too. The only thing that we have not completed, and we will do this in-house, our maintenance guys are great at building them. We will have another throw area that is going from north to south with the shot put. So we'll actually have two shot puts possibilities that, we can run two throwers at the same time for shot put, which is what we had originally. And in speaking with our track coaches and our throws coach, that's more than enough. So, yep. But if you go out there, it's between the north side of where this practice facility is being built and the tennis courts. We actually put in a retaining wall, block wall in there, and filled it with the appropriate chat and material to encompass that. Now, they do make indoor shot puts. We're probably going to have a rule against that, at least.
I just remembered us saying that we were gonna take their spot and they needed a spot, and I thought, where's their spot?
We've had pretty much every sports program that would touch this facility or that this facility would rehome or move away. We've had them involved in the process and everything, and there's been a lot of intentionality with laying out what we're doing. So at the end of the day, it's going to be just a phenomenal facility. We're even ready a little bit later this fall. Some of the lights we had to remove off of what I call the old soccer fields where I used to coach, the grass fields. We're moving those over to the turf that we installed where marching band is at. And we're going to have that field lit pretty soon as well too. So the marching band field, I'm hopeful that the parents there will appreciate that we have lights. Maybe not, because Mr. Lamar, Mr. R, and Mr. Keys may keep the kids out there until midnight on certain days that, third tuba isn't, right where they need to be in the line. So I don't know, maybe I'll get some hate mail on that, but so far everybody seems excited about all the improvements that we're making.
Will there be technology in here for like reviewing tape, film, team sessions?
So the way we designed the locker room, if we go back and look, and this is all captured in our FF&E, the room to the right, to the top of that, go the other right. Yep. So you see the U's that are there, those are actually lockers. Actually, let me just stand up and talk you through it. So this is going to be our football locker room, and so we have various different U's in here, and the lockers that we are putting in are the MVP professional style lockers, so they're 2.5 foot wide. They've got the bench you can lift up. You can it'll be padded seats as well too that you can sit. It'll hold all that. Through our FF&E on this, we're going to be able to put TVs at each stall. And so you can have special teams meet here, offense meet here, defense here. There's a projector screen that'll cover this window that the coaches are able to supervise in the locker room when they're in the office. There'll be a drop screen, a projector there. We're outfitting our locker rooms with chairs. We're not putting benches in. So we will have like the Mighty Light folding chairs. You can buy them at Sam's, Walmart, whatnot. And that's what all of our locker rooms will have too. So here in the soccer, we'll have, we're accounting for large TVs in here. The track locker room, large TVs in there. This, the utility room right here is going to house all the computer servers, and this will also have cameras in it for safety inside the turf area and outside of the building as well too. Obviously, no cameras actually in the locker rooms area. And then our storage area here, heavy-duty industrial washers and dryers. Football coaches area, big conference table will go in here. This is casework, that is like their desks that are going to be in there. And they have lockers and shower, and all of our coaches have lockers and showers. And then with every facility, they have the restrooms and showers as well too. This storeroom will encompass
tracks equipment. This storeroom will soccer, multi-use equipment in here. This is a cut-through storage room, so we talked about an ice machine and also golf cart and other equipment, but you can actually carry a full-size soccer goal through this garage door, through these doors into the turf area you want. However, there's going to be a netting system that comes from the ceiling down at the end of this end zone that has a upright goal sewn into the netting and then a soccer goal sewn in below. This dotted line signifies the drop-down screen. So it's not a net, but it actually is a visual divider of the space if it's being utilized by multiple sports at once. And what athletic training facility, we're in discussions with our current athletic training facility providers on them helping us out equip this as well too. But we have a wet area where whirlpool, you say whirlpools, people are going to think of like hot tubs, and it's not that classy. But like ice therapy, so, with injuries and things like that. And then also a dry area where benches will be able to go in for, assessment and taping and injury and so on and so forth. So, and they'll have an office area and then storage area as well, too. So, again, we're extremely excited about the opportunities.
Josh,
and
for like home football games.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have ours. Will visitors use these?
Nope.
They'll stay in the high
Nope.
school?
They'll stay at, in the high school. It'll allow us, though, for game management, if, you're at a home football game right now, you have to hold one team on the field while the other team exits. You can't have them leave at the same time. Various supervision reasons. They're trying to get each other on the field. You don't want that to continue on the way to the locker room. So we'll have our home team coming to this facility, and then the visiting team will go back to the building. And what this will also allow, too, is, for example, like right now, visiting teams with softball, if we have a JV football game going on, it's very difficult to find a space for that visiting volleyball team to change into and to change out and to get ready for the game. And as a school district our size, it's pretty embarrassing because you'll have one of our locker rooms taken up for our home team, one of the locker rooms taken up for a visiting football team. Then you have boys soccer that's going on. You have cross country that's going on. You have girls softball. You have girls cross country. And so where do we put that visiting team? And that's been an issue we've been dealing with for, 22, 23 years now with that facility. And so, again, this will open it up and allow us to be an actual hospitable host for those visiting teams. So it's really drilling down and meeting a lot of needs that are needing to be addressed. Any other questions?
I'll have to check, but I might have a year of eligibility left. It's pretty sweet.
I hope they knee heals up.
Can we get a tour once everything is?
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome. Thank you. All right, if there are no more questions, those in favor of approving the contract for Phase 2 of the indoor athletic facility, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion seconded and carried. Next up is the approval of a bid for turf at the indoor athletic facility, and Josh mentioned this already. So this would be to authorize the superintendent or his designee to execute a contract on behalf of the board with ATG Ram Industries for field turf installation during Phase 2 at a cost not to exceed $277,600.
So moved.
Second.
Do we need discussion on this? Do you have anything else to add? I know you kind of covered it already.
So if you look at what they're offering through the buy board, the third page, the pricing, the base bid is $284. Since we're doing less square footage, there's a deduct of $26,000. One thing that I'm not bringing to you is actually the center field logo. That was an additional $24,000. The reason that I'm not advocating for that is because the logo would go in a spot that it is not on our competition field, and that visual cue could mess our players up. And And it's a way to save, $24,000 as well too. If we did it to match our current field, you would have the bottom half of a T coming out of the north wall to match, and then people are like, what the heck is this? And so, again, this field will have the offsetting gray markings for our soccer field, so it'll have the inlines and it'll have the 6-yard box and, or not the 6-yard, but 8-yard and then 16, and it'll have the PK markings, and it'll have the kickoff circle at the 50-yard line up at the north end, and it'll have the matching orange end zone with lettering. And then we're also including in here, we got most of the drainage captured under phase 1, but there's still a little bit more work to get done, and it couldn't be done until right before installation, so that's the additional $10,100 that I'm asking for to get us to the total of $277,600. By going with this company, this will also be captured in our maintenance and warranty program with our other 3 existing fields. And so it's been a great product for us. We've had very good luck with these systems and with this particular company. And so it just is the right direction for us to continue to go, in my opinion.
How much is this saving us?
The quick math,
Like $100,000 from?
I'm sorry?
Like $100,000 from?
Not $100,000, not a total $100,000. It's, what's that? No, you basically take $352,000, $550.
So 75.
And minus, it's saving us about $75,000.
Okay.
CMAR wasn't too happy because he could have gotten 6% out of it, but
That's sad.
sorry.
Yeah.
They're still happy though with the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, those in favor of approving the bid for turf at the athletic facility at a cost not to exceed $277,600, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion seconded and carried.
All right, thank you, board.
Yeah, good work.
Next item on the agenda is information and proposals from board members. Actually, I'm going to say something here. But I want to introduce our new board secretary, Brian Payne. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining the team.
I thought that was Beth the whole time.
They look alike.
She's gonna kill you.
Does anyone else have anything? All right, there being no further business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much. Thank you for hanging out with us. Yeah, we